It's about goddamn time we got another really good science fiction film.
Yeah? Well, what's that?
Well, okay, there's Star Trek,
Yes.
which was sci-fi, but only sort of.
Well, there's a lot of sci-fi in Star Trek. Don't put it down. I know they stretch the rules a bit. It's not all exact science, but they throw in a lot of real science fiction.
But it's more of an action thing.
Okay.
It's more of an action film. It's more of a buddy action film, really.
Kinda. Okay.
Even action comedy, if you
Sure.
will.
Okay.
All right. It's just there's not a lot of science per se.
There's a lot of science.
Oh, yeah. Rockets from the future. Well, how do they work? Never mind.
No, stop it.
But this movie, District 9, we saw tonight, this is science fiction.
Yeah, it is science fiction. I mean, real science fiction where you take that, okay, I'm going to lay down two unbelievable premises, and everything else is going to adhere to that factually.
Yeah.
The way it would work out in real life. And you're like, yep, that's pretty dead on.
It doesn't hurt that this film starts off like a documentary.
Yes.
That feels like it could be about any sort of like slum or ghetto and Johannesburg where this takes place, or
Oh, sure.
anywhere
Yeah.
else.
You said it in South Africa where like, oh, yeah, they have a lot of experience with refugees and slums.
Oh, sure. We're talking about aliens. I mean, here's a film that wears a subtext on its sleeve.
Yes.
To be clear, but there's, I was afraid it was a film that was all it was going to be. And it really isn't. That's just the premise.
Right.
It's like, okay, here's something so you know what we're talking about, so you can feel something for these characters. You have something to identify with. It's not really trying to say something about the situation so much as it's just a setup for absolutely stunning final reel.
Yes. It's funny because you're trying to say Star Trek is the action movie, but this turns into an action movie.
Which I totally
did not see coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, District 9, if you don't know already, it's kind of a realistic portrayal if we had aliens sort of crash land on Earth, aliens who really don't look humanoid at all. They call them prawns because they do have a look that's somewhat insectoid, something like shrimp.
Shrimpish, yes.
Yeah. And just how they would be dealt with. Especially if the poor saps were unfortunate enough to crash in South Africa, where all they know is like, hey, you're different. All right, well, we're going to put you in a ghetto. Right. How about that?
All the places to land. South Africa, really?
It's like, dudes, it just ain't your day.
They're just known for their tolerance down there. Yeah, when they find this ship, then it appears in Earth's atmosphere. They're like, oh, my God. And they're waiting for something happening and waiting. And Independence Day just doesn't happen. So they finally go and they cut it open. And what do they find? Something apparently went wrong with the ship in outer space. And this was like, literally, they don't crash into the Earth. They're hovering, but it might as well be a crash landing. They're all starving to death. They're like in bad shape.
Yeah, there's like 1 million of them, right?
Yeah, and there's mainly just workers. They're like, they're the working class.
Yeah.
The bosses, presumably long dead. So Earth, does what it can, trying supposedly, plausibly to be generous and helpful, and sets up a place where they can get some food and some care and stuff. And of course, there's like 2 million of them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take long at all for it to become a shanty town.
Right. And the South African citizens, like you say, aren't known for their tolerance. So after a while, they're like, okay, aliens, go home. That's it. Get them out of our country. We're sick of them.
Yeah. Yeah. They're thinking,
now, granted, it's 20 years.
Yeah. They're there for 20 years, and the people of Johannesburg are saying, hey, shouldn't we create some sort of Taylor virus or something? What? You don't really see any problem with it? Okay. All right.
Man, I tell you, man, these aliens just had the worst luck. Like if they had landed or crashed over Canada, they'd have been treated to free health care and the best strip clubs in the continent. But no, none of that.
I know, just right off the bat, worst possible landing spot. But so nobody wants them there, and to make it worse, you've got the Nigerians moving in, who of course are trying to get them through email to send them all this money because they've got a deposed prince. Oh wait, no, that's what they're.
Man, the thing is, not like Nigerians are all about scams and making money off people. I mean. And this not even me being prejudiced. That's just what their culture is.
That is the association that they are given in pop culture generally. I've never met a Nigerian.
Oh, I've known plenty, and really, money is all they talk about.
I'm sure there are some who don't feel that way.
Sure, there's like 3 guys.
In case those are the
and they have a sister
listening to Spill, because I don't want to have to deal with the Nigerian Anti-Defamation League group on Spill. But
Yeah, that prince is going to sue you.
unless I send him a check for it.
Right.
But so all right, so they've decided to build a new concentration camp.
Right. They pretty much come out and call it concentration camp.
Yeah, which is like 20, 30 miles away. I don't know. I can't remember how far they say, but a ways away from the city.
Yeah.
And it's even worse. It looks clean.
Yeah.
But it's going to be worse.
Yeah, it's like saying, like, we're going to move you out of this shack into a tent.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's like going camping every day of your life.
So they want to move these people who are settled in to a certain extent. I mean,
Right.
they've been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
They've had children of their own at this point. They move them into this settlement camp. So they move down this kind of nerdy fellow.
Right.
A
what was
pencil
it?
pusher.
Yeah,
know.
Vicus. This guy Vicus. So yeah, he's been a pencil pusher who's being moved up to head the MNU, the multinational. What's the U stand for? I can't even remember.
I can't remember.
Well, anyway,
MNU, Multinational United.
United, yeah, and it's his job to kind of get out there and get signatures and organize the military to get signatures from all the aliens so that they agree that they're going to peacefully migrate from the shantytown to the concentration camp. And the thing is, you watch this guy, and he's all enthusiastic because he got this job through nepotism. He never would have got it otherwise.
Yeah, he's dating the boss's, or married to
the boss's daughter.
Yeah.
But he gets out there, he's happy. He's like you described it, where he's kind of a dweeby, kind of douche of a guy. I mean,
most certainly.
Well, he is, in as much as the entire South African government is pretty douchey on this. I'm just saying in this movie. I don't know any of these people in real life.
He represents like red tape and bureaucracy. I mean, literally the fact they're sending in this dweeb to get the aliens to sign pieces of paper that they can't read.
Yeah.
To say it's okay for them to be resettled in these new places. I mean, it's that ultimate kind of bullshit thing. Like, really, why don't you just skip that bullshit that means nothing, that's just a symbol,
right,
and just lead them at gunpoint? Because that's what you're doing.
That's what you're doing anyway, yeah.
So they're moving in there, and he discovers some sort of strange item that these two aliens in particular were trying desperately to hide, that sprays a goo in his face.
Yeah. And is anybody here who's like just seen stuff with any kind of doctor show with medical waste, you know that getting sprayed in the face with anything is not good.
Yeah.
It could say WD-40 on it, and still, you might want to get checked.
Yeah, House would just rip this guy a new asshole if he showed up when he did like 17 hours later. But yeah, he's like, no, I'll be fine. Oh, is there some black shit coming out of my nose? Yeah, well, that, it's probably just old blood that's been dried for a while or something. Oh, my fingernails are coming off? Huh.
Now, Cyrus, I know you were like, come on. How is it that he's not going to get checked out? But the fact is, when he's brought to the hospital, that's only the beginning of his problems.
Oh, yeah. Because basically they discover that he has, through this, and become combined with alien DNA.
You know what? You probably shouldn't say anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
That's one of like the big kind of, that's the thing. This movie is full of surprises.
You're right. We're not going to say anymore. We don't need to say anymore.
No.
This movie is filled with surprises. Every time I thought it was going a certain way, it took another turn. And yet everything seemed to be natural. Everything seemed to work. And it all leads up to a third act that is one of the most impressive, spectacular, and groundbreaking effects-wise endings to a film I've probably seen in like years.
True. To me, it's funny because as unpredictable as this movie is, and we just recently did a Leog all about the 80s and 80s action movies. And to me, this was a movie that combined elements of every great action movie from the 80s.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many parts of it that it was Terminator at times, and sometimes it was what am I thinking of?
RoboCop.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Terminator. It's RoboCop. It's Aliens. It's damn it. Predator. Oh, I just had it. Enemy Mine. That was the other thing.
Oh, yeah. Enemy Mine is definitely a strong influence.
Yeah, and it's all these things all put together in a way that works so awesomely.
Yeah, and yet there's never, you go, oh, that kind of mildly reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's not like a ripoff.
Yeah, you never feel like they just took it from there. It's like, yeah, they saw those movies too, and they did something completely new with it.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they were influenced by them, but not enough to where any scene was stolen. It's just like, wow, they really knew what was good, what we loved about those movies, and were able to put put it in this one.
Now, this was directed by a new name, Neil Blomkamp. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Blomkamp? That sounds like a sexual act.
I was going to say, you're going to be this new big director now, dude. You might consider changing your name while you still can. It's your, yeah.
Now, he's Peter Jackson's protege? Is that what the
Well,
deal is?
okay. Peter Jackson really... Okay, Peter Jackson, believe it or not, is a big fan of the Halo video games. Loves.
Hey, Halo's a fun game.
It is a fun game.
I like it.
But he decided several years back that he was going to, one way or another, get a Halo movie made. He didn't want to direct it.